Welcome everybody to the next installment of HRF's AI for Individual Rights educational video series. We're joined today by Anthony Ronning to teach us how to more privately use AI. Anthony, can you give a brief introduction?
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Anthony Ronning. I used to be a Bitcoin developer for many years and then kind of moved over to AI recently. I've always kind of been focused on the privacy space. So kind of what we're working on next with Maple AI is sort of, private AI.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, tell us how you made that transition. You were like kind of for years working on privacy and Bitcoin, and then you saw an opportunity to kind of pursue the same goal in a new space. Just tell us how that happened and what led you to create Maple.
Yeah, but even just backing up a little bit, like making a Bitcoin wallet is very difficult at scale, and so we're kind of brushing up against limitations and everything. So, we reevaluated what was going on in the current atmosphere in the current space. We wanted to work on something security, privacy related. So, we kind of just like talked to a lot of developers. We wanted to make tools for developers, and every time we talked to someone, they mentioned that they wanted private AI. So, we kind of looked at that landscape and eventually found out that you could do AI privately without going as far as like doing local models, which you can do too as well. But it kind of just like opened up the realm when we looked at the space. We realized like nobody, almost nobody is doing this, and it's something that we thought was really important. We need our thoughts and our, all of our, everything that we put into these AI chat models to be as private as possible.
Okay, so I'd encourage all the listeners to go back and check some of our previous videos where we talk about different approaches to privacy and AI to get an overview, because this video is more of a deep dive into one of the approaches, right? So to review, you have the idea of a proxy where all of your questions get lumped into a bunch of other people's questions, and you don't pay with a credit card that reveals your name and address. You can pay with Bitcoin. So you're more private and you sort of blend into the herd, but eventually if you're using something like ChatGPT in the back end, they will see the actual questions. They just don't know that it was you that did it. On the other extreme was local models, which we showed, I think, in the last video. And with local models, it's the most private, but to get a really good experience, it's very, very expensive. You have to buy like $10,000 or $20,000 computer to use the best open models. And so Maple emerged as a nice middle ground where you can still use some of the best open models, but it's much more affordable. So Anthony, could you kind of describe how this works? Like, how is it that you can still have this really good privacy using open models, but you don't need to buy a big expensive computer?
One of the things that Maple does is load these models very securely and encrypted inside of a like hardware device, a very specific hardware device that you can't break into or inspect. So once these models are loaded into this secure enclave, the secure hardware, you can then have end-to-end encryption communication with that model itself. It's almost kind of like Signal, where everything's encrypted on your device, sent to the other party. They decrypt it and then sent back. So this kind of, the Maple model kind of runs in the same way as well. You have your communications with it, and you really don't need to know anything about how it's working under the hood. The Maple, it looks just like ChatGPT, except now it's having the secure communication. All the traffic leaving your device is encrypted and secure.
So, like the reason why Signal still runs servers to route your messages between people, but they don't see the content of the messages because everything's encrypted. It's very similar with Maple. They are hosting the AI, but they do it in a clever way, so they're never able to see your questions, and that's where the privacy comes from. And it all happens automatically, and you don't even have to know how it works. Great. So, Anthony, it would be great to see a demo. Could you show us kind of what it's like to sign in and what it's like to use?
So this is Maple. You can visit our website, trymaple.ai. And once you go to the website, you can go to the downloads page and you can view all the downloads. You can see Mac OS, Linux, a few different options for Linux. You can download with iOS or Android as well, or just download the APK file directly if you don't have Google Play. And then we also have the web version too. So once you have it on your device or you're using the web, kind of wanted to walk through some of the different sign up options. The most important one that I think especially useful for activists, logging in anonymously. We have a lot of different like email options for convenience. But what you really probably want to do is like sign up as an anonymous user, and then there's some warnings here. We do as much as we can to make sure that like we don't know anything about these users that are logging in anonymously. So we do require payment in Bitcoin, um, and we don't accept like credit cards for this anonymous account. Support is really hard to do anonymously, so we kind of just say like we don't support, and then you have to back up your information after you go. So like I'll kind of walk through what some of this looks like. I'll just do like a throwaway account here. The first thing you'll want to do is like make a secure password for your anonymous account, and once you do, you'll have an account ID here where you can copy this and along with your password, and this is what you use to sign in. It's a little intimidating at first, but you just need to back up your account ID and back up your password, and then you can get into Maple and then proceed to make a Bitcoin payment.
Yeah, and I don't really know of another thing that's like this where you can you got one extra screen to save some stuff, and support will be a little harder and stuff like that, but it is really private, right? So they are not. It's not hand wavy here. It's not a show. They're doing everything they can to make this private. And if you don't want the extreme privacy, if you just want good privacy, you can use log in with Google or something like that. They still can't see the questions you ask, but they know your email.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's, now that you showed us how to sign in, could you show us how to use it? Maybe we'll use the desktop app because you're on your laptop right now.
Yep. So the desktop app has the full experience. There's a lot of things the desktop app can do that the web app can't do, and I'll walk through some of those. But essentially, you're landed into a page like this, where you can start typing right away. Um, you can have a web search here in case you need to search things on the web. We have a bunch of different models that are available. We have some simple names for what these models are. If you just need general, quick questions, you can use the first two. We have something a little bit more advanced for deep reasoning, something for math and coding. And then if you upload images, there's special models that we use for images, or you can like look at some of the advanced models that we have here in case you're technical and you kind of know what some of these are. But we try to make it easier to kind of reason about some of the ones that we do offer, and these are all open source models that are running securely. And this is essentially what it is. It's ChatGPT but private. I kind of wanted to show off a little bit of some like example queries and questions that we already preloaded, as especially for activism. Like one is like what's the process for peaceful protest in Uganda, and it's kind of walking through some of the public order management acts, and I don't know if any of this is 100% accurate, and AI can have some inaccuracies too, so always double check information. But from looking through it, it's kind of from my opinion, it's trying to like really explain the situation that is specific to Uganda. I have another question here. If you're being subject to surveillance, what can you do? And it's kind of walking through use Signal, use 2FA. So the intelligence of some of these models are still pretty good. If you need to do something like upload PDFs, I think this is something really special. If you have a private document that you don't want to share to ChatGPT, you can upload it here in Maple, and then you can start asking about the document. You can do follow-up questions. For this one, I just did the Bitcoin white paper just as an example. It can also do photo analysis too. So if you have a photo that you want privately described, you can say, "Hey, what's in this photo?" And then it'll start, it'll describe the text that it sees and the logo and the background and all the information from the photo as well.
Well, I have one question. I'm wondering where I think I would encourage everyone to attend the Oslo Freedom Forum this year. I just can't remember what day it is. Do you have a tool that could help me figure out remember what day the Oslo Freedom Forum is?
Yep. So let me just ask you this. The important thing is you do need to check the web search box, and then that will use the Brave APIs to privately search this request on Brave. So all Brave sees here is that you're asking about, or not, doesn't even know who you are. It just knows someone from the Maple, a user from the Maple team is requesting this
Yeah.
specific search, and that's all that Brave sees. So that is important but it doesn't see what your original request was. It doesn't see any of that. So it does a Brave search. It gets the results back. You can look at them if you want, or you can kind of just see what the AI tells you back. And then it's June 1st through 3rd. Is that right, Justin?
That's what it says on the website. And I believe the website. So
There you go.
awesome. Well, that's a great demo. So I think as the users can see, it's a very familiar experience to something like ChatGPT. And you can do tasks that you often run into, like analyzing a document, analyzing a photo, stuff like that. And some of these open models have gotten much better in the last 6 months. So it's getting to the point where they can really power some real productivity improvements. So, I think in the future, maybe there's going to be more plans to have, like a personal agent, stuff like that. Tony's been sort of teasing one, so I think we'll see a little bit of that maybe the next time you join us, Tony.
Yeah, that one of the things that has blown up recently is like the whole open claw personal agents, and that's something we want to put into Maple, so that way it can start making actions on your behalf and doing a lot more,
Yeah.
custom
Yeah.
prompting and custom engineering.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for joining us. We look forward to having you back, and encourage all the viewers to, go check out trymaple.ai, sign up for a free account, download the desktop app or the mobile app, and just give it a shot and see if it can replace some or all of your usage of tools like ChatGPT or Anthropic. So thanks for joining us, Tony. See you next time.
Thank you.